If you don't dip your toes in the water, you won't know if it's cold or it's hot or is it going to burn you. So you have to test it out, right?
I don't think it's impossible. We're up for that challenge, but
So what the air traffic controller is going to pick up the radio and say, "Hey AI, can you please take down 500 feet?" Ain't that boy? So right? Hey, welcome to the Air Mobility Show. I'm your host, Ahmad Malik, with my co-host, Radia Park. Hi. And we are here today at the Airspace World 2025 in Lisbon, day 2, and we have some esteemed guests from CANSO today. So welcome.
Welcome to Airspace World. Delighted to have you here. It's
We are so pleased.
Our big event in the year, and there's thousands of people out in the halls, and we're delighted to have you amongst them.
Thank you for having us, and we are very excited to be here. And I think it's an excellent event that I have attended in the past as well, but this is the first time we are here doing something about it.
Fantastic.
So for our guests, just to get started, quick introduction.
My name is Michelle Bishop. I am the Director of Programs at CANSO and oversee all of our global activities, including our Complete Air Traffic System Global Council, which I think we're going to be talking about today.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us today. I am Angie Odysseus. I am the PR manager for CANSO as well. So overseeing all external communication and, for the event, Airspace World as well.
Fantastic. So, Ladi, you're telling me
Yes.
you think that
I attended an amazing press briefing on CATS ConOps, which is, in my view, the breakthrough for many facets in the industry that we're facing. And complete air traffic system concept of operations is actually combining everything in aviation, starting from the airline operation, the air traffic control, the urban airspace with drones. So the aim is to achieve the seamless, sustainable, and scalable airspace by 2045. But Michelle, you are the one who knows everything about it. So maybe for our listener, you can share more. What is CATS ConOps?
Perfect. Thank you. It has been a labor of love for a lot of people, I have to say. An absolute pleasure over the past couple of years to be working with the team on developing the ConOps. We came out a few years ago as a CAT group looking at a vision for future skies. But we knew that the vision was an important part to get an aligned view from all stakeholders on what we thought the service offering in the skies needed to be to accommodate the volume and variety of vehicles that we expect to be using our skies in the future. But it was important to translate that vision into the details of how we get there. What do the phases look like? If that's where we want to be in 2045, where do we need to start moving now and moving together as an industry from, the technology suppliers, the air navigation service providers, the vehicles themselves? What do we need to start putting in place? And the ConOps takes people through the phases and stages and the transformations that the air traffic management industry needs to go through if we're going to get there, and puts it all together in a picture. And we're having lots of important conversations out on the floor of Airspace World this week about it and about how we continue to drive forward its implementation.
That's fantastic, because the transformation is, I think, key, would need to happen for the future of what we see as more urban and regional and all this combined together. Yes, it's some transformation required. And being a transformation person myself, I know how difficult that is. So, good luck on the mid. But, talking about the steps that you mentioned, can you explain the steps that you have to go through and what is it that CAS is planning?
So there's a number of transformations, and I think we've got 18 transformations that we then bundle into 3 primary phases. The first phase is all about digitization. Air traffic management is still a manual of voice communication, and we know very much that the methods of working that have gotten us here are not going to take us to where we need to go.
It's not to have the cards, right?
No, the slot. We can't have the slots and the paper strips and the voice communications. We are approaching the maximum limit of our ability to continue managing the skies that way. And so digital transformation, machine-to-machine communications, the evolution towards a trajectory-based operations where we really plan the trajectory of that flight or its entire route instead of the very tactical and manual ways, we, still very safely manage that traffic today. But it won't necessarily work for us in the future. So phase 1 is all about that. Phase 2 is those higher levels of automation. It really is. We really are big believers that artificial intelligence and other non-AI based automation are going to allow us to transform the skies and move towards phase 3, which is real integration. What we're seeing, and I'm sure that you guys are seeing in the airspace right now, is in order to enable early use cases, doing it with segregated airspace. We're building corridors for safe operations where a piece of airspace is designated for a particular operation. And that is really important to enable some of the early use cases, but we really believe isn't sustainable in the long term. We need to migrate to something that will be far more integrated and will allow safe and fair access to airspace for all users.
And I want just to going back to the generic image. I think what is important here about this, initiative that we're doing is that we're always talking about collaboration in all the events, in all the panels that we go is collaboration. But I feel like this is the one single, point of truth that actually the whole aviation industry work together. So the CATS Global Council that we put together is an organization that has from manufacturers, from ANSPs, from airlines, from air traffic controllers, and etc., coming together to actually, take the technology that is happening and increasing and the development of technology every day and everything that we have around us available just to put it into practice and kind of change.
So there are over 80 organizations in the CATS Global Council. How do you guys work together jointly and on this sayable scenario?
It's very busy. So we will have a meeting later this afternoon of the council itself. So there is sort of a governing council that sits. There is a technical committee that sits underneath the council and, produces things for the council's approval. And then we have a whole bunch of different working groups that sit under that. We're leveraging CANSO's 20 working groups as well. We have, working groups on a variety of things in aviation, would be air traffic flow management, would be in sustainability and other things. But we have working groups under the technical committee that have advance the ConOps itself. We have a working group right now looking at airspace classifications and flight rules, BFR, IFR flight rules, and whether those are really fit for purpose in the future. I mean, one of the things you'll see in the CATS ConOps is getting to a different concept of separation. Air traffic management operates with very fixed rules depending on the configuration of an airspace. You need to keep vehicles either 3 nautical miles or 1,000 foot apart, and these are the rules, and
That's it.
that's it.
And this is the reporting point, and that's how you're going to
Absolutely.
your approach is going to look like, and blah, blah.
Exactly. And it will be a much more dynamic sky in the future with pairwise separation, with dynamic reconfiguration of airspace in line with the flows of traffic.
This is music to my ear because, normally it's me who's telling it to everyone. And today is the first time in our podcast where somebody else is telling me that. So I'm so happy. The thing is, I have been, I don't know if you've seen, some of the research that I've been doing in the past, collaborating some of the players, but I started as a geek from an IT background into the aviation background, who is sort of like in the middle of the technology brand. So I'm kind of like in the middle stack, but I'm not really your legacy aviation guy. So give me the perspective of looking at it from an outsider. And my own personal research was quite exactly the same way what you guys are talking about, is that the routes, the trajectory, following the path, the corridor, all of that. I mean, how long you can make it work, right?
Yeah.
And it's not realistic to say that what I like to call it is urban canyon soup, which is a city that if you want to fly these things safely, you cannot have these corridors. So, they're trying to do that in London. So that will allow our traffic from point A to point B and without any deviation, and somebody sitting there. But then if you want to introduce autonomous vehicle, because everyone wants that, right?
Yep.
Especially for the AM. So what the air traffic controller is going to pick up the radio and say, hey, AI, can you please take down 500 feet? So right?
It's an important interim step. We need to unlock use cases.
Yeah.
We need to enable these new operators to take to the sky. And the segregation will be part of the pathway to get there, but it can't be the end state. It really can't be. And as we look to higher airspace operations and some of the really exciting use cases in the upper stratosphere above the flight levels that planes are currently operating on, there is some really important things for society that they think that they can achieve in that airspace, and you need to be able to unlock that.
Yeah, especially, unmanned sort of deliveries and cargo and so on. That can operate there easily and outside of the congestion. And
Absolutely. We're gonna make things better for society. We're gonna take more cars off the road. We're gonna, go to electrification of cargo delivery in some ways, and the societal benefits of that are going to be vast. But it does have challenges for our airspace, and that's why we've been working on what really is a passion project.
Yeah, I can already see, some of our friends who are there developing what they call the flying duck, which is an amphibious cargo autonomous aircraft, electric. So, that's exactly where it fits in, right? We talked about the phase 1, right? So what's a phase 2 then?
So phase 2 is really all about automation. It's all about increased leveraging of artificial intelligence. It really represents a change in the role of the human in the system. It represents machine-to-machine communications between the ground and the vehicles. Voice communications is we're at its limit in congested airspace right now, but that sort of increased automation. We have systems today. We've introduced automation in air traffic management for a lot of years, incredibly successfully. And that has increased the capability of air traffic controllers manage their airspace. It's offloaded some routine tasks.
Yeah.
But there is more that can be done there.
Yeah, joining the pattern, for example, and getting the slot into the pattern, all that is optimized. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have conflict alert that projects out 20 minutes in some airspace, whether there will be a conflict on the trajectories of aircraft, and gives the controller a potential resolution to that conflict, which then can be sent to the cockpit in a controller pilot data link message to tell the pilot to change altitudes to resolve that conflict. We will see further autonomous automation on those sorts of things in order to manage the full trajectories from departure to destination, and to communicate those changes in trajectories to the air navigation service providers along the route.
That's kind of for what I envisage as well. I think they'd be the thinking outside the box and kind of the paradigm shift that is needing. There's also kind of a pushback and challenge in that, right? Personally, I'm a techie, right? So for me, there's nothing is impossible at all, the legal impossible scenarios. But the point is that we have a lot of challenges from regulatory point of view and operational. And one of the things that I like to explain to people is that it's not about the novel technology that is needed. It's novel use of technology that is a problem. So how are we getting that sort of into the system slowly, going towards phase 3, I think?
The regulatory bit is a real challenge. And, we're starting to have conversations with bodies like ICAO and others around how we manage the innovation cycle. Because, one word you'll hear on the floor a lot this week is we really do believe that technology deployment will be more iterative in the future. And that's a tough one for regulators when we are, every year, every 2 years, changing our systems and adding new features. So the certification bit and how we work with regulatory certification of artificial intelligence in this field is a challenge. I don't think it's impossible. We're up for that challenge, but it is, as I think I said this morning, it's modern magic in many ways, and how industry works with regulators to create understanding of the systems, to create trust in the decision making that an automated system is making. We need transparency in how that system makes decisions in order to get to that. But yes, there's hurdles for sure.
This is a question for both of you, the three of you. How soon do you think we're going to see the first changes then from technology point of view for actually implementing AI in this?
There's AI applications in air traffic management now, less so in direct operations and direct service delivery. There's lots of ANSPs that are really effectively using digital twins, for example, to model approaches to to weather constraints for the day, to run a quick simulation of what happens if we do it this way, what happens if we constrain traffic over here, how do we manage the flow best today. There's artificial intelligence being used in looking at the safety of the system and trying to get to predictive risk metrics. We're using it today, but we do see that migration into direct service delivery at some point in time. But the real early one is digitization. We've got to nail a better data sharing and a digital foundation for the system. And so that really is some of the early stuff that we'll see.
The digitization of also sort of, democratizing the data. Because right now, I think even if you have digital systems, but they're siloed and they're too restricted and things like that. I mean, I don't know if you know, Eurocontrol is just going live with their first NN applications on the cloud. That actually opens up even the possibility of sharing that information with others.
Yeah.
And it was such a big fight. So now I work as a consulting CTO at Eurocontrol, and I was responsible for the power transformation project both in the generative cloud program. And normally this kind of transformation would have taken me a year, have taken 3 years, and we are just starting out.
Yeah.
And there's no new technology invented. In fact, the technology we're using is 10 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And it's just
We're late to
adapting that technology. And AI is the same thing, right? I mean, we know about neural networks, since 80s, 60s, something like that. I mean, I studied when I was in college and when I was young. The only difference now is that we have transformers that have changed them again. And all of a sudden things are now possible that are not possible. The challenge that we have is we don't exactly know how they do the thing they do.
And that transparency and trust is going to be really vital.
But the thing is, it's still a question mark for scientists there working on it. But regardless of that, there's so much that can be done in just data processing and data sharing.
And real-time data.
By my personal view is that there's layers of data sharing and communication that is required. So we have certain level of data sharing right now, which we think is amazing because it's only transferring some place, so pieces here and there. But what we will require for, phase 2 or phase 3, but you guys are talking about is going to be a lot different infrastructure. It cannot be the way it is right now.
Yeah.
And not just data sharing, also processing real-time near-time is nearly impossible right now with the way we communicate. Yeah, it's like the ADS-B data. I mean, how can you even do anything? Even with the likes of, the technology that we have, satellite and everything, it's really nearly impossible to do anything with that. And except for, where something is. So
Yes.
I guess, there's nothing you can do with that.
But if you know where something is and you have the ability to communicate with it, that's the backbone of air traffic control.
Indeed. So I think there's a technological changes that need to come. Not technological changes, the novel way of using the technology that has been existing for years, honestly. Come on. Let's catch up, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are parts of air traffic control that are very much done in the same way that they've been done for 21 years.
Yeah.
The disruptors that are coming into the system with new entrants and new use cases are appropriately challenging us to rethink how it can be done.
Yeah. But do you think that the aging aviation and ATM workforce will probably bring about some open opportunities for us in the future? Because, a lot of them have been working there for a long time, but they don't want.
There is an ongoing renewal of that workforce. We've been looking at the demographics of the air traffic controller community globally, and all of our ANSPs are in active training mode, and we're seeing, a age thing. We had seen for a few years a bit of an aging of that demographic, but there is a real resurgence of youth coming into the system now, which does give us other opportunities. They are digital natives. They are incredibly comfortable with technology. So that opens up different conversations as well.
Yeah, but I do have a little bit of concern. This is just kind of came about from a conversation. I got stopped by somebody who said that we are doing some ATM training. And if you look at our content that we teach, so what would be needed for the future air traffic control? So I looked at that and I thought, I said, look, I don't believe that what you're teaching, because what you're teaching is what is required to be qualified. That's all you're focusing on. Yeah, the future is not going to be exactly that. So there is going to be some need of that educational change as well. I mean, even though we have fresh blood and, that's coming, you are more exposed to technology than our old people who didn't even like the color change. They complete. I remember saying they had this control EM in Euro control, and the color of the thing was not right. Oh, this is not right.
We're deploying a system across 7 flight information regions, and each flight information region wanted a slightly different colors.
Yeah, so we have to fundamentally then change that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's going to be a challenge, right? Are we also going to look into how to bring about that educational change?
We are having lots of conversations about the skill sets of the future. We need to partner with educational institutions. The real challenge that we're having is our main workforce are air traffic controllers. We, largely don't hire air traffic controllers. We make air traffic controllers. Yes, we hire someone who isn't an air traffic controller and we train them to become one.
Hire somebody who wants to be.
Yes. When we look at the skill sets we need for the future, we are going to be in a different level of competition with other industries than we have largely been in the past. And that presents its own challenges. All industries are looking towards the opportunities of artificial intelligence, and we're going to be competing for that workforce at a different level than we have to date.
We will be able to open up the conversation a lot more than we can right
Yeah.
now. Because, one of the thing that really kind of rubs me the whole way is every time we have a conversation about technology and adoption and how it made things up, it's just like, oh, safety sucks. No one is saying drop safety. I don't know why you keep saying that.
The slow pace of change is not our strength, and we need to realize that. And that future is coming. The vehicle, I mean, you go out on the floor, you see what's coming. I've been to some of the eVTOL manufacturers and stood on the hangar floor in front of Joby's vehicle and heard how many they're planning on producing in a month. How they're ramping up production. The future is coming, and the safety issue comes if we're not ready for it. The safety issue comes if we make these vehicles come in and work in a system whose flight rules and airspace classification doesn't work for them.
I think that's a very, very good point, because safety is not into not changing anything. Safety is making sure that what are you changing is safe. And the thing is, it is a sort of difficult scenario where you are not on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
You're talking about your ability. You can't just, stop in a curb and, child 60. You have to now learn. And I completely understand that. And also, not only the air traffic and the operational side, but also the pilots and who will be flying. I mean, I'm really, really looking forward to fly one of these things soon. I'm a bit geek about flying. And I've been looking for an opportunity myself, but I know for a fact that a huge number of pilots don't want to even touch flying fever. So there's a lot of misconception. They keep saying that, oh, no, there's no way this thing can fly. But these things are flying.
They are flying. In the next 18, 24 months, a lot of certifications come through in different parts of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have, in Germany, we have Volocopter. Hopefully they are saved.
Yep.
So they will be getting certified. They were the closest to certification. We also have Joby and Archer re-education for it.
Yep.
He is doing a very good job. I'm really impressed by. Let's not mention the ones who will already be certified, because they're kind of but but they are certified. Yang is there. They are flying.
Yep.
They are certified. So saying that these things will never fly is just I can't.
No.
No. But I do understand the point of, this is not saying because we don't have enough data, but that is also counterproductive. That okay, I'm not gonna fly it because I don't have enough data. You'll never have data if you don't test anything out, right? If you don't dip your toes in the water, you won't know if it's cold or is hot or is it going to burn you. So you have to test it out, right? And I think this is something that really excites me. So going towards then, more about this the organization and getting involved in the organization. So what one have to do to be part of this
Part of it.
future.
Yeah. We're a growing group, I have to say, and it has taken a big tent approach to get us where we've come to. So you can find out more about the CATS ConOps concept of operations on futureskyvision.com. We encourage people to have a look at it. I mean, this will be a living document, and we welcome feedback on it. We welcome folks' thoughts about the pace of change, about the nature of the change that we're describing. We want other views. This is going to get better. We need alignment in order to get the pace and direction and speed of change that we know is so needed. So we encourage folks to engage with the material. There's a video on the website you'll see as well about the concept of operations and what we're hoping to achieve. But we encourage people to send us their thoughts. You can find all the contacts on the.
That's fantastic. I think collaboration is the key, like you both were saying, and the point will be how big a tent you can make right now, right? So let everyone come and talk to you, and then you guys can decide who you can and which things you can. You can.
I think right now that we have the ConOps, we will see naturally some regional groups emerge as well. It's a global initiative and we want global alignment, but regions are going to be at different places and need to prioritize different things. There's some really exciting things happening in regions like Africa with drones and the use cases that they see in some of those regions. So I think supporting those conversations is another opportunity.
Yeah, we had a friend on the podcast who lives in South Africa, and we were talking about what they have been doing in terms of delivering blood samples and things like that, and medicine into emergency in the remote areas. So that then you have, Dubai who wants to fly for Charlie, that would be great. I mean, it's always good. That CATS technology.
There will be
use cases for sure, but Southeast Asia as well, right? Because they have a real practical use case like Indonesia and, these islands, the separated islands, they can really use some of the services.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then you're seeing like big cities like Sao Paulo and things like that have real traffic congestion issues that are affecting their population. You see the opportunities for urban air mobility in cities like that.
Yeah, and like India, where there's, not enough infrastructure. So they need to somehow jump ahead. Yeah, and then I think what the regional thing will be to concentrate on what regional needs are. Because you can't take the formula from New York and apply to New Delhi. Because even though they are both new, they're not really the same, right?
Yeah, but the big, eVTOL manufacturers want enough harmonization that they can operate in different jurisdictions as well. They don't want to have to build something specific for one. So that sort of global vision has been really important.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fantastic. So it was fantastic. I think, I really...
I don't want it to stop.
Yeah, I'm just cautious of time because otherwise, I can go on for a couple of... Hopefully a lot more collaboration will come. I'm already on board. I had a chat with Eduardo, so we are in.
Perfect.
And it was lovely to have you, Michelle.
Lovely to be here.
And thank you for joining on today's podcast. And like and subscribe. Get the information from the description, and we'll see you next time.